And this is the grid fly demonstration, which is part of a research paper, and also this is a use case which is basically the idea of using an editor to create a table-less grid layout. On the right, we have a two-dimensional editor. This is what the user is interacting with, and you can specify a grid using a 2D model. Very simple to understand, sort of like the early what you see is what you get editors for creating tables. So let's create a very simple layout. Q for quadrants, let's say W, E, and R. If I click on generate, on the left you have the output area. This use case is inside the tablet, could be a TV appliance, could be anything. But what's important is that on the left we have a web page. Another important part is that what we have on the left is not a table. It's up to modern guidelines and standards, so that's a table as design. And it's important to say that the conversion between a two-dimensional specification and a table as grid is not a direct conversion, because the table as design is not a 2D representation. It uses markup in hierarchical models. So this example with 4 quadrants, very simple. Let's first complete the use case, then I can talk more about the complexities of a table as design. So to complete the use case, I'm going to click now on apply, which is pretty much a very simple operation. It basically inserts HTML widgets within the containers, just to complete the case, right? And of course you can grab something. I'm grabbing here a demonstration from MDN, and if you replace, let's say, this URL here with something from the web, then you're gonna get the widget within the container. Nothing much. Going back to the toolkit and to this proposition, we're now going to explore a more complex case. This complex case is one element on the left side, Q. On the right side, we have something more complex, W, E, right? Very small R, T here, Y here, and U. So to make this design was very simple, right? And we took a few seconds. However, if you ask a web developer to create this in table as design, they might take a few minutes. If they are very experienced, if somebody is not experienced with table as design, they might take more time to understand table as design. That happens because you need to not use a table, not use a two-dimensional specification, basically use containers within containers, using simply elements next to each other, or elements in terms of the inline next to each other on the right, or elements block levels creating lines. So it's basically, you can only do things making columns and lines. And if you want to create your 2D design, you have to make columns inside lines and so on. We generate that with this algorithm, and voila, you have the results in there. I'm going to select now those elements. And if I click on View Selection Source, I have here my hierarchical structure for that. It's basically divs inside divs, in compliance with table as grid layouts right now. What's happening here in the proposition is that we can use the specification on the right. We can use strings, just like what you can see. You can specify that layout using a very lightweight specification, such as the sequence of characters that you see right now. So that's a pretty much lightweight specification. And after that specification, then we generate the final layout. And indeed, what we want in the end for the browser is a table as, it's a grid layout. However, we propose this model so that it's very simple for developers to alter web pages. And that brings us something interesting again, which is this use case. Brings us the ability to have editor for such as a what you see is what you get kind of editors to help people to create designs. In this case, for a tablet, could be for a TV or other appliances. So to complete the use case here, I'm simply gonna leave a few components with the default widget. I'm gonna put one element in there, the clock. Let's use this other element for the Y widget area. Okay, and that's fine. Let's simply insert the widgets. So that's pretty much what we have here. An authoring system for creating table-less designs, grid layouts out of a two-dimensional specification. In the paper, there is a view here that explains a bit more, right? This is a case that proposes that you have three. So in this example, we have basically the characters are the cells A, B, C, D, E, F, G. But this representation shows the complexity of the structure that you need in order to have this element, this visual element. What you need to have is to, for each container, you see that the container has elements within. So the first container has ABC, there's a sibling container, a secondary line, the big line, and that big line has two containers, one on the left with DFG, one on the right with E. If you forget about the E, let's look at this container, the DFG. This white container in there has two containers, D and another container which has FG inside. If you forget about D and you look at container that has FG, the container has FG inside. So that's what happens. The developer needs to use this mental model so they can write something like this, what you see here, this markup. Only after you create the mental model that you can actually produce the table-less grid layout. And that's what this toolkit proposes, is that we can maybe use strings of text, very lightweight, very short strings of text, such as this case here, to create that kind of layout. So in this JavaScript API call, the toolkit, you can say grid generate. You specify the number of the maximum number of columns. You just type in your specification, which is in this case is A, B, C, D, D, E, F, G, E, right? Then voila, you have the whole layout in there. And that's pretty much the demonstration. Thank you very much.